Well, fellas, I've been teaching for a couple of years that there's 17 ways to replace a match. I guess we got to talk about matches first. Way before matches, people knew how to make flame without matches. And way after matches, people have been making flame without matches. There was a happy little medium when this was it. Match. Match is basically a stick of wood with a flammable substance on the end of it. It doesn't naturally come up. It's got to be struck against something. Now, one of the first things I'm going to tell you, and everybody thinks that this scratchy thing is a piece of sandpaper. Sandpaper goes on a sander. This is made with sand, gravel, rocks ground down. This is not sandpaper. Well, it sure does feel like sandpaper, sure does look like sandpaper. That is not, you could use it for sand. I guess if you wanted to sand something down, you could, but it's not sandpaper. Actually, ground up glass. Now you might say, well, in sand, silica, that's what they make glass out of. Oh, crazy Uncle Damien, you're just talking in circles. Yeah, maybe I am. But this is not the same as this. And let's prove it to you. Safety A number one. We hold the stick way back out there. Let's light it. We struck it on there. We got a flame. Put it out. Make it safe. Let's grab another one. Oh look, somebody tested. Doesn't work. Let's see if there's enough striker on there. Yep. This is not sandpaper. The reason I say that is I see a lot of emergency preparedness kits being built and people taking pieces of sandpaper and putting it in there in case I need to strike a match. In case this box gets wet, I can just use sandpaper. No, you can't. Now, back in the day, this was a viable choice, but it was for a different reason. These are strike-on box. These matches have the magic on the end of them that only strike on the box, only strike on this striker paper. It won't strike on, well, I guess it'll strike on other striker paper, but it won't strike on anything else. Back in the day, why don't we just light that one up? Back in the day, they had strike anywhere matches. Well, what's the difference? What is the difference? I'm going to pull a few of these out. Strike anywhere matches had the exact same ground glass impregnated strikers. So you could take strike on the box, and look at that. That works. Strike anywhere is different because they have an additional little piece there. Let's see if I can get this in. Whoa, there we go. Focus. That white stuff on the end is the difference. When you friction that hard enough, then it lights the secondary stuff, which is there. I'm no rocket surgeon. I don't know what this stuff all is. I just know how it works. Put it in the comments. Educate everybody else. Anyway, this white stuff, if you friction that hard enough, then it'll start the ignition process and then light the wood. Match stick. Now the sandpaper makes sense because you're giving enough friction to that initial piece. These were dangerous because you could have a couple of these in your pocket. They start rubbing against each other and you could have a fire. Let's see if I can do that. Used to be able to do that a long time. I'd say they've changed matches a little bit. Look at that. So you can imagine that going off in your pocket. or your coat pocket, or I don't know, you're sitting on your jacket. A lot of house fires, a lot of barn fires were blamed on strike anywhere matches. It's kind of crazy that they never outlawed them. I'm not telling you that they should, but I'm kind of amazed that they never did. So the tricks that you always saw with these, that you might have saw your grandfather or your great uncle do, or the Clint Eastwood movies where they take it and they hit it with their thumb. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Ha ha. Till you get a piece of sulfur burning underneath your fingernail. Not so funny anymore. Anytime, a lot of times back in the day when we used these a lot, you were looking for anything to get a little bit of friction on the edge of that. A lot of people use their zipper on their pants. Again, if that sulfur peels off of there and starts burning on the zipper of your pants, that's no bueno. But these are kind of neat to have around because you can strike them anywhere. If the box gets wet, you can strike them on a rock, on the sandpaper, on the edge of different things, and they will light up. But they're harder and harder to find. Also, the difference between your grandfather's or your great uncle's matches was that little piece of white. I call it sulfur. I'm not real sure what it, phosphorus maybe? I don't know. That piece of white magic. That FM that they put on the end of that was a big old hunk back in the day. It didn't take much to get that to light up. Now, they make it very small, make it very safe to keep everybody safe. So that's the difference. Now, two different ways of lighting this match. I was always taught drag it towards me, mostly because I wanted to get it in out of the wind. We're in a windless environment right here between you and me. But a lot of times you were out camping, hunting, burn pile, burning the trash. The wind is going, even a slight breeze. It's a pain in the butt. You got a flame right here. So you always are trying to get that cupped up real quick. So I was taught to bring it, and I just do it naturally. I have to teach this. You can see I get my hand up against that to support this. If I just hold that against that stick and push really hard, I can break that match in half, right half in two. You always want to kind of grab it by the very end, but not so much that it rolls around in your hand, where you can get a good purchase on it, and then support that stick with the other hand. Give it a flick. You want to drag as much as you can, but in there, give it a flick. And then we cup it out of the wind. For those of you that might have smoked for a while, smoked a pipe, smoked a cigarette, you can see where you could get that down into tobacco of your choice. Don't smoke, kids. It's no good. We didn't know that back in the day. The other way, which is an older school way, instead of breaking that stick, because these sticks were always pretty thin, some of the old timers will push it. And that way you're not bending, you're pushing right up against it. And if you happen to be trying to light something, you're pushing it as it's igniting. You're getting it right in there where it needs to be. Come on. And there it is. That's stick matches. A box of matches, because it is. It's a cardboard box, a little slidey box. Strike on box, strike anywhere. Big difference. Let's get rid of this guy. Only because I don't feel like putting it back in the box. Book of paper matches. Paper matches are just that. Instead of having a stick here, it's made of paper, and it's actually very flexible. Same junk on the end of it. Here's the trick that you got to learn. It's a book because look, you can open it like a book. You can read it. You know, you could write your number on there and give it to some honey, and she won't call you later because you wrote your number on a book of matches. And same thing, you want to hold it by the very end so you can use as much as possible, because that's going to burn up pretty quick. Now, instead of supporting here, you got to kind of support the head of that match. Now, here's the trick. If you do this enough, part of that burning sulfur is going to stick to your finger, and it's going to hurt. I'm just saying. You got to be a little quick. And again, you can cup that in. And with matches, you don't have a whole lot of time. You can extend time holding it up, or you can get a bigger flame holding it down. That's why you want to hold it by the very edge, because you start running out of time. I think it's a little silly to say, but once you light a match, it's done. You can't relight a match. You can burn the sticks, but you can't relight it. Match only lights once. So again, you hold it by the very tip. You can see I got that already wanting to curl in. Support the tail end and give it a flick. You can see I got my finger off that as quick as I could. And away you go. Now, if you need, here's a little bit of a trick that we used to do. If you need something a little hotter to get going, you can get a couple matches together. Bigger flame, bigger waha. You can stick it in there. You could also take unlit matches and put it in and then light that. Always close it up when you're done, just so that it keeps the dirt and junk out of it. Book of matches, box of matches. There's 17 ways to replace the idea of a flame from a match. Now, if you go to convenience stores that sell cigarettes, a lot of times, and this is no guarantee, but a lot of times they'll have a box of paper matches behind the counter. If you ask for one, they might give it to you. I offer them a quarter, they might give it, But these are still viable. A lot of times you can find these at the grocery store, oddly enough. It's still something that happens. What's nice about this is it weighs nothing. Nothing. It's something that won't evaporate, and if it's kept dry, won't go bad. So a pack of these in the glove box. Now, if you live in some temperate climate where your car gets 11,000 degrees, I wouldn't advise keeping these in your car unless you want to burn your car up. But in the rest of the country, pack of these in the glove box will last 20 years. It's something that's always there. And if you want to buy them, they're not hard to find. Like I say, I teach in classes, and you can find them. These are paper matches, and these are boxes of matches, wood matches. They can be found. They're not hen's teeth or rare dinosaur teeth to find. It's something that can be done. So there you go. There's the start of it. That's the one flame that we're looking to try to replace. Once upon a time, that lit all of the wood heating and the cooking. How to replace a match. And there's a lot of thinking and theories, and hopefully if I am given the time and the resources, I'll show you how to replace this flame. Fellas, every day teach or learn. On a good day you do both.